regardless of what a woman claims, statistically, she's full of shit. That's right. Statistically, she's a liar. And that's horrible to know. When we're all predisposed to defend the largest predator group in our country, women. Women are the largest group of predators in this country, bar none. Women commit more crimes against men and children than men are even capable of. When men are abused, we're told we just need to man up. We just need to let it go. These aren't the words of a friend. These are the words of a predator. Good people don't say shit like that. Not to a victim of abuse. What the fuck is wrong with you? Let's play a couple more videos for you, since obviously I ain't getting to sleep tonight. I guess them youngins realize that I'm trying to always record. So instead of screaming the N-word at me, they just drive real close and then rapidly accelerate. Or they'll put their car in neutral and coast by, revving up their vehicle as loud as possible. It's awful sweet of them. Now this video is called Men Can't Be Victims, Female Narcissist Abuse. What does it show right on the front of it? The words, man up. That's right. So let's learn about this. Oh, come on. Please fucking work. Oh, come on, please play. We'll read some of the comments while we wait, I guess. But this only cares about toxic partners. Dating. Someone calling themselves Reality Tech TV typed, still silently suffering from the abuse I went through. Sadly, there is no justice for men who experience abuse. Glad that 10 years later I can search online and actually see that I'm not alone. The damage is already done. Help. This one's a really sad one. This person calling themselves Unknown Sky Master typed, I'm just glad there are women out there that don't fall into this category and rightly condemn such behavior. Most women don't. Most women won't. He also typed, my mom said it best, abusers are bullies, and most often the worst kind of bully. A self-righteous one who thinks themselves superior and can do no wrong. This person calling himself William Sporing 1500 typed, nobody cares about men. Nobody thinks men can be abused. It sucks. The cops literally saw my drunken ex with a gun in my face. Me with a guitar in my hands, sitting down. What do you think their response was? What did you do to make her so mad that she wanted to shoot you? That was their exact words. Ended up leaving, and she later took her own life. And this person typed, this is by someone called Logic Beagle, typed, I definitely believe that's what the cops said. I have seen body cam footage where they've said similarly stupid things. It's outrageous, but that's where we are. Can you imagine a woman with bruises and the cops saying, what did you do to make your husband so mad? Unthinkable. This person calling themselves Greatest Nightmare 6626 typed, how the F aren't you suing the police department? Complete subhuman. We don't get to. We're not allowed. Please fucking play, god damn it. It just won't play. It won't play. Oh yeah, my phone's full and I have to erase stuff so that I can make it play. Otherwise, there's not enough room on my phone with all the evidence for it to do so.
It's a brand new exclusive event with all your favorite South Park characters. There's Cartman.
These are Michael's allegations. He says that she attacked with football moves and tackles and punched, kicked in the face, had a chair that was swung at him from across the room. His mouth was cut up, bloody nose and scratches on his face, neck, and chest. So you say she has come at you, she has attacked you. If she starts punching you, then you turn around and walk away. If she starts following you, then you walk faster. If she starts chasing you, then you...
See, this guy's a fucking retard. This is Dr. Phil. He's giving a man advice that men are not allowed to take. We're not allowed. But this dumbass lives in a pretty fairy tale fucking world. This is a goddamn therapist. He has no fucking clue what you have to go through, and he's gonna dish out shitty fucking advice. No, she starts hitting you, you need to turn it into the cops. But first, you gotta go find a woman who gives a shit. Because if a woman doesn't give a shit, you already know what's gonna happen. She's gonna play victim, and you're gonna be abused. Dr. Phil's a fucking idiot.
On her. If you have to, you get behind the door. But you don't ever, never, ever put your hands on a woman in anger, ever.
I disagree. When your wife is trying to drown your fucking kids in a goddamn bathtub, you bash your skull in if that's what it fucking takes to rescue that fucking child! Fuck Dr. Phil! This! Right here! I will not. It is always okay to knock someone clear the fuck out if they will not leave you alone. If they assault you repeatedly and pursue you, you do not get to walk away. You do not get to walk away as a man.
If you had a magic wand, where would you like to go?
This is Paul Jenner. On the 23rd of October 2019, he was violently assaulted by his girlfriend, Sherry Naidu, and not for the first time. He had been assaulted by her before, but this time the beating was particularly savage. This assault came just 5 days after his partner had been released for committing a similar offense. Paul was treated in hospital for facial injuries and a brain bleed. He sadly died 12 days after the attack. In February of 2021, coroner Sean Cummings recorded a conclusion of unlawful killing. He said, "Hearing the evidence, I consider that it is likely beyond the balance of probability that Sherry Naidu did subject Paul Jenner to a violent assault, and that assault put in train a sequence of events that led to his death." Even though Sherry Naidu admitted to the assault, the judge in her case declared there was insufficient evidence to prove this was the cause of his death. Judge Lynn Taton ruled there was no case to answer on the murder charge, nor even for the alternative charge of manslaughter. Guess what Sherry's sentence was? Go on, have a guess. 16 months. Look at this article I found while researching this video. It's by a writer named Natalia Milano, and it's called "Why I Stopped Slapping My Boyfriend in the Face." In this piece, Natalia talks about how she used to occasionally strike her boyfriend and thought nothing of it. Even her friends, she says, admitted to slapping their boyfriends once in a while. So why did she think this behavior was acceptable in the first place? Well, I'm going to get to that.
We don't knock her the fuck out.
There's a famous joke by Richard Pryor from his 1982 stand-up Live on the Sunset Strip.
Now you gonna believe me or your lying eyes?
Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? He's talking there about his wife catching him having an affair with another woman. But that joke is essentially how I feel about the news media. Their gaslighting is often breathtaking, and it's been nowhere more apparent than with the Amber Heard Johnny Depp verdict. It's been a maelstrom of misinformation and bad takes.
Either this was a case of what one expert called mutual abuse, or Amber Heard was the primary victim.
The media are talking about this trial as if we weren't able to watch it ourselves live for 6 weeks. Here's Moira Dunnigan in The Guardian, who calls the ruling illogical in her article, "The Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial was an orgy of misogyny." But the problem with Moira's article and many others like it is they forget that a large percentage of the people supporting Depp are female.
I'm looking for justice for Johnny because he deserves it.
Justice.
Why are they supporting Johnny Depp? Because he's famous. He's a famous heartthrob. Amber Heard, I didn't even know who the fuck she was. Can you imagine that? And look how much of a fucking joke Johnny Depp and Jason Momoa made of that situation. That wasn't a fucking trial. Most of the people supporting Johnny Depp are supporting him for the same reason that you pick boyfriends who treat you like shit. Sure, there's all the attributes you claim that you want in a man, but you just happen to want them in a man who's at least 6 foot tall, with 6 figures in the bank account. Looks are far more important to women than they are to men. Far more important. This is why women are far more likely to be sexual predators. That and the fact that we all try to pretend that women can't be predators, sexual or otherwise.
Johnny Depp. I hope that Amber gets exposed. I was very excited to be here and, actually be, with Johnny Depp.
I am not an Amber fan.
My outcome for this is that Johnny wins the defamation trial.
As Chris Rock said, believe any woman but not Amber Heard.
She says in the article about the vitriol Heard has faced that it is hard to shake the feeling that really it is directed at all women. So that begs the question, why are the pro-Depp female supporters directing vitriol at all women?
I actually quit my job for this.
Trying to explain the Depp verdict with the accusation of misogyny is lazy and simplistic. I suppose we should be thankful that the one thing these gatekeepers haven't done on this occasion is blame it on QAnon. Oh, no, wait. This is a familiar refrain from the media today, portraying enemies of the official narrative as crazy conspiracy theorists. Here's Caitlin Tiffany in an article for The Atlantic with a snide aside about a Depp fan, Lady Victoria Hervey, saying that she's espoused a New World Order conspiracy theories and described the pandemic as a eugenics program. Even if she did all of those things, so what? That has no bearing on her support for Depp and what it means for male victims of domestic violence. The media have given Amber Heard the benefit of the doubt, justifying all the times she admitted to being physically violent or is heard cackling like a crazy person.
Like selling your journals.
They have ran with the theory that she was reacting to Depp's alleged abuse. This was the same defense Amber Heard herself used. In fact, she had a good excuse for all of the abuse she inflicted on Depp. In this article, The Bleak Spectacle of the Amber Heard-Johnny Depp Trial, Michael Hobbs says that despite Heard admitting that she hit and taunted Depp, she's still the sympathetic one because, to quote Michael, she's not a perfect victim. He at least admits that the evidence against Heard is damning. But since we must take it for granted Depp was beating her, he says, why are we talking about whether she was annoying sometimes? Why is Amber Heard the more plausible victim, according to the news media?
And they did not believe your testimony or your evidence.
Moira Donegan in her Guardian article says that many are quick to point out that Heard is not a, yes, you guessed it, a perfect victim, but no woman is. And here we get to the crux of the matter. Abuse has long been defined as a woman's issue, and domestic violence is a term that has become synonymous with wife abuse. Gendered Situations, Gendered Selves, a paper published in 1996, states that victimization may be so deeply female in experience that a man who is victimized, in an attempt to refrain from being emasculated, may refrain from expressing his fears, asking for help, or even discussing the situation. One of the good things about the very public Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial is that it has opened up a discussion about the abuse men can suffer in intimate relationships. Abuse that some women are capable of inflicting on men, all with the understanding that nobody, it seems, would believe a man can be a victim.
See what the jury and judge think. Tell the world, Johnny.
I have two permanent indentations in my left shoulder where I was attacked with a hammer with such ferocity that the handle of the hammer actually broke. Her justification was that I didn't tell her often enough that I loved her and I didn't instigate the physical side of the relationship. That was her justification for the violence, that I'd made her feel unattractive.
In the UK, the Office for National Statistics figures show that 1 in 3 victims of domestic abuse are male, equating to 157,000 men. But these figures may not be accurate because of the stigma about coming forward. Men underreport the abuse they have suffered. This makes it difficult to capture the abuse rates accurately. An in-depth study in Canada examined the experiences and effects of physical abuse for 12 married men aged 25 to 47. These men had sustained injuries such as multiple bruises and abrasions, dislocated ribs, injured genitalia, minor head trauma, numerous lacerations, and internal injuries. The men indicated something quite typical when it comes to this issue. When they spoke up, their claims of abuse were not taken seriously.
Tell me right now. Why? Why?
And later brought bystanders together to talk about what they'd seen.
My first thought was that he must have cheated on her.
But you look guilty.
Exactly.
Shane admits during his career, he has seen many men in the same situation.
I've answered more calls, almost more calls, dealing with men being abused as opposed to women.
Some male victims do not speak up because they fear people will assume that the woman is the real victim and she must have been acting in self-defense or retaliating to his abuse, a narrative that the media have went with in the Depp Heard case. This self-defense claim is a great get-out-of-jail-free card for some abusers. In the UK, we actually have a member of parliament who once physically assaulted their partner and was even arrested and detained for the offence. To understand why this person is still an MP for the Liberal Democrats, it would be helpful to explain that she's female.
But most bonkers of all are the complacent, often white, often male.
Layla Moran was arrested in 2013 for slapping her then boyfriend at a party conference. In her post on Twitter, she says it wasn't their finest hour and says she slapped him because she felt threatened, of course. She's currently the spokesperson for Foreign Affairs and International Development. Some sections of the media couldn't wait to defend her. This article was actually published, Mitigating Female Violence Against Men with Bizarre Logic. It reads, female perpetrators of domestic violence do not go on to mass murders and terrorist binge kills.
Yes,
Here's the person who wrote that article. While Amber is on the more extreme end of the scale when it comes to abuse, women with personality disorders can inflict all kinds of trauma that don't necessarily involve physical violence. Physical abuse can sometimes be less psychologically damaging over the long term than the slow and steady drip of emotional abuse.
It's a lot of breaking the spirit. It's a lot of belittling. And after so many years of hearing the constant belittlement or the belittling, the comments, the negativity, a person could start to believe that.
Yeah, she was academically very bright. She got a lot of A's, went to university, obviously, and I wasn't of that type, and I think she used that quite a lot.
In what way? What did she do?
Just to belittle me, say you're dumb, you're stupid, you're thick, all the time.
This study, Abused Husbands and Narrative Analysis, looks at female and male intimate partner violence. One of the subjects, Brian, issued an almost identical statement to others in the study, saying that the verbal and psychological abuse were much worse. The destructive force of emotional abuse is the favored weapon of the disordered female. This abuse can be very subtle and builds gradually over time. Toxic women can subvert their femininity and exploit their physical attractiveness to lure a victim. Many red flag behaviors like love bombing or being overly attentive or complimentary in the early days of courtship are of course taken at face value by the victim. Narcissistic personality disorder is one of the most common personality disorders following this pattern. Another thing the narcissist might do is mirror her victim to such an extent he thinks he's met his soulmate. For the average guy who gets into one of these relationships, it's truly heartbreaking because he thinks he's met someone who genuinely loves and cares about him. But this, of course, is only the deceptive precursor to the real fun and games.
I don't really understand why, but then it just developed into more.
When did she burn you?
She started stabbing me before that with a knife.
If she starts punching you, then you turn around and walk away.
The average guy out there is in what's known as the scarcity mindset when it comes to relationships.
But so anyway, I was also wondering, I'm going up to Santa Barbara this Saturday for an orchid show, and I I'm sorry.
In the dating arena, men simply don't have the kind of leverage the average female has. And the frightening thing is that the toxic female may be fully aware of this. Daryl, another case study from Abused Husbands and Narrative Analysis, said, I have a really low self-esteem and would go out with anyone who gave me the time of day. Progressive verbal degradations accompanied by increased attacks aid abusers in controlling their spouses. The insidious emotional abuse perpetrated by someone with a personality disorder like narcissism includes things like dehumanizing comments that are designed to disarm you, and jokes that are designed to hurt you. There is gaslighting, making you doubt your own perception of reality, and rules. So many rules. The rules are there to remind you that you're the servant and she's the boss. Nothing you do is ever good enough, and you'll be constantly trying to please this person. Chasing her approval will become your life. Think of what it might feel like to be living with a person like this. One of the most evil characteristics of a narcissistic person is how they have come to know your weak points. This person is someone you have invited into your life, someone who is supposed to love and care about you, and they're using your weaknesses as weapons. These people, these toxic narcissists, see you, their most intimate partner, someone they're supposed to love. They see you as the enemy. This is not a
I hear they talk about intimate partners. Why doesn't that apply to me? I've only had sex twice. I just needed a friend. Not a girlfriend, not a vagina, not an intimate partner. It didn't matter what parts they had between their legs.
relationship. This is warfare. When the narcissist is settled into the relationship and things have become more solidified, this is when the mask will begin to slip and you'll start to see and hear things that unsettle you. One of the double standards we've all internalized is that female on male abuse is no big deal. Think about how many times in a TV show or a movie you've seen a man being slapped or punched or kicked by a woman, and how often has this been done for comic effects, or maybe simply because it's assumed the man deserved it.
That's one of my favourite scenes, actually.
It was something I cannot explain.
He wasn't really annoying in that moment. We couldn't help it. It's like, yeah, he deserves a good punch for that one.
You must see I had no choice.
Debbie felt that the Demelza should stand up for herself and just be a bit modern for once. And so she wrote this punch, and I turn around and I smack him.
I prefer there to be no scandal from men I don't approve of.
But you don't approve of anyone. Mr. Fortune is my employer.
He's afraid of me making a terrible mistake.
I don't want to watch this shit.
Tana Intimates. The product you know is getting an upgrade.
And everyone went, yes!
Remember that article by Natalia Milano, Why I Stopped Slapping My Boyfriend in the Face? Natalia blamed the cultural influences that promote this behavior. She at least realized, better late than never, that hitting the person you ostensibly love should never be acceptable. Amber Heard felt emboldened to publicly accuse Johnny Depp of all kinds of abuse, despite knowing full well that she was a violent abuser within their relationship. She realized she would have been coddled and supported by a culture that seeks to give women the benefit of the doubt, while never for a second taking Depp's claim.
No, it's not giving women the benefit of the doubt. It's giving women what they want. Women love Johnny Depp. How many women do I know who have literally told me that they wish Johnny Depp would rape them? Well, let's start with Amanda Payne and her mother. That's right. Those two women said that they wish that Johnny Depp would rape them. How disgusting is that?
Seriously. Some of the worst takes about the case have come from mainstream media outlets, like this article in Vox by someone named Constance Brady. Listen to this. The article states, if Heard is not a perfect victim, if at times she instigated violent encounters with Depp, that does not change the fact that Depp had power over Heard that she did not have over him. Depp, sure, was older than Heard and had more star power, but what good were those two pieces of leverage within their relationship when she still felt emboldened to mock him, to bully him, to berate him, and to hit him?
Your bug. Is this gonna be good for your bug? Is this gonna be good for your bug?
All of this talk about being an imperfect victim rests on the presumption that during the entirety of their relationship, Depp was the one from the outset instigating physical violence, and Heard was only ever reacting to it. Strange, then, that she'd be hunting her abuser from room to room and attempting to break down doors so that she could strike him. Unlike with the Paul Jenner case, the Amber Heard verdict went the right way. It's so shocking to some voices in the media because of how unusual it is to see such a public shaming of a woman. Harriet Williamson writes in The Independent, Heard has been summarily destroyed. I wonder how many of us could honestly say that our mental health would ever recover if we were subjected to the same treatment. Sure, that's a good point, but if Depp were on tape saying to Heard, I didn't punch you, I was hitting you, stop being a baby.
But I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched. You're a fucking baby.
Would Harriet Williamson be complaining when people condemn Depp? Would she be concerned about Depp's mental health when he received a Twitter pylon?
Depp's star power dwarfs Amber Heard's, an imbalance that has led to his ex-wife being vilified online.
The media behave like an abuser. They gaslight like the worst kind of narcissist. It's a relationship we should all probably quit. Remember when Amber said this to Johnny?
Tell the world, Johnny.
She knew male victims seldom speak out, and when they do, what court is going to believe them? Well, on this occasion, she was wrong. While many in the media still support her, twisting the narrative to bolster their anti-male bias, this conversation...
The only reason that trial went the way that it did is because Johnny Depp is fucking famous. Millions of women worldwide who got crushes on the motherfucker made sure. And of course, this guy is going to leave out a good portion of that 6 weeks, like Amber Heard actually speaking up about abuse, actually showing the fact that it wasn't just her. Just like the jar of cocaine. Was that Amber Heard's jar of cocaine? Or was it Johnny Depp's jar of cocaine? It doesn't matter. They were both using it. Absolutely, Johnny Depp got special treatment because of star power. But specifically, star power that women care about. He's more important than Amber Heard. Because how many of these women have literally masturbated to Johnny Depp?
But the chaos some women can cause in relationships is at least being discussed, and that can only be a good thing.
Only in sexual relationships, though. All of these places leave out friendships. People who are not interested in sex. People like me. Fuck this goddamn country and everyone in it. Do I believe for one moment that Eileen from First Christian Church here will ever come forward? If she's pressured to. How about Mary? Or Krista? Or Miriam? Them youngins didn't drive by being assholes during this video so far. It's 1:55 a.m. though. Maybe they're done for the night. This is called male victims of coercive control. It says, we asked male victims. Come on. I can't read any of that shit. This is their voice.
She's thrown heavy and sharp objects at me, including knives, scissors, hammers, heavy ornaments, and has smashed up lots of expensive items, laptops, mobile phones, TV remotes, etc. I feel that if I told her I was finally leaving, she would have attacked me in a violent rage and killed me.
I was whipped across my face and back with a radio aerial. Had my testicles squeezed and kicked. My forehead, eyes and cheeks had been gouged by fingernails. I've been punched full in the face in front of her brothers and mother in an attempt to provoke the brothers to fight. I've had golf balls thrown at the back of my head and trying to eat a meal after work, and was also cut across the back of my hands with broken ceramic, amongst many other things.
I firmly believe she's capable of taking the life of me or my children without remorse. She is able to easily gaslight those in a position to help and turns them against me.
She threatened to have me murdered, and I was scared that she might actually stab me. There was a period when I was always looking at her hands to make sure she didn't have a knife in her hand whenever she entered the room.
You have to worry
She
that
fractured
she'll
my
kill
cheek
you
and
for
split
saying
my
no.
eye. I woke to her jumping on top of me. She knew I had 300 stitches in my lung. Because she lies and people believe her. Because she really hates me and I believe she would lie to get me into trouble. She tries to get other people to believe that I'm the abuser and has passed on my details to men who she has to protect her from me. So I worry I could be targeted.
I really had felt as money went on what she wanted it to go on. My sleep schedule was erratic, and this is part of the reason for the eventual mental health crisis.
Because she is a dangerous liar who will say whatever she wants to get what she wants from whoever she needs it from. If I'd been convicted of the false allegations she accused me of, I would have got 5 years in prison. I still get insecure when I'm out and about. I have to record myself everywhere I go with dash cam, just in case I'm accused again.
That's right. That's the reality of being a man. We have to record 24/7, especially if we're unattractive. The shorter we are, the less physically attractive we are, the more we have to worry about this type of abuse. I'm not talking about from girlfriends. I'm talking about women in general. We have taught women that it's okay for them to do whatever they want to men, and that there will be no consequences. We have taught men that if they are physically abused and they come forward, they're going to prison for rape. There doesn't have to be any evidence, because nobody fucking cares about men. Someone calling themselves Lighthouse typed a message and then retracted it. I'm going to tell you something, Lighthouse. If you retract messages like that, you're hiding things. One of the rules I live by is never trust an adult who asks you to keep secrets. If you made a mistake in whatever you were typing, fess up to the mistake. Don't erase it.
She can do and say anything about me, lie to the authorities, raise false allegations, alienate my child against me, and there is nothing I can do about it. I have no right.
The authorities were on her side, despite there being no evidence. It was assumed that I was guilty of abusing her.
The threats that she would make things up about me and prevent me seeing the children and lose my job. I thought I could end up homeless with nothing.
I was scared of losing my daughter because I knew she was capable of using...
If he'd ended up homeless, nobody would have posted this up about him. No, they'd have been posting up about how homeless people are abusing women, wouldn't they? You fucking cowards.
The child as a weapon.
Ongoing abuse in the form of false allegations from her, and using them to halt family court proceedings and prevent access to my son.
Because my ex-wife is still trying to control me through our children.
My ex is still controlling me through the court system, and by continuing to teach my children to hate me.
An ongoing child arrangements case which has lasted a year and a half. It's still a few months from conclusion, and the psychological abuse continues in the allegations being made against me and in the fact-finding hearings when your abuser and their barrister paints you as someone who you're not. When their deception succeeds in the family court, it's very difficult to accept. You know you've done little wrong, and all you want is contact with your children.
If you try to call out the behaviours, these saved behaviour patterns, when you see them in other females, you get labelled as a woman hater, an angry man, and so on.
because I am acutely aware of what is sayable and what is unsayable, and the way in which the truth around domestic abuse is distorted. My partner used to deny that she hit me, and it is very difficult for me, and I presume for other victims too, to confront a society that is sceptical of men who claim to be victims of domestic abuse.
I could not sleep through stress, and would often go for 3 days and nights straight without sleeping. I became unable to handle any stress at all, and even my speech was affected. I went from being quick-witted and articulate to being unable to string a coherent sentence together much of the time.
My life slowly started to revolve entirely around not making her angry. She'd generally get angry just before I was going to go to bed, so I ended up with very little sleep, as she wanted to have entirely circular arguments for hours. My work suffered, and I eventually had to take redundancy.
I struggle to concentrate and sleep. I lost my job, I lost my home. I get emotional and upset regularly. I'm constantly anxious for my child's well-being and future.
I lost 20 kilos and became dangerously underweight. I suffered chest pains and ended up in hospital with pericarditis. I couldn't sleep or wake up. I wouldn't eat or drink unless it was a whiskey to help me sleep. My friends and family were very concerned with the change.
She stabbed me with a kitchen knife, and I stitched it myself as she begged me not to go to hospital in case she got in trouble.
I was drinking a lot of alcohol to try and block out the pain. I ended up in hospital due to really high blood pressure and anxiety. I was suicidal.
It took a long time to realise how this has affected me, and many years to actually acknowledge that I possibly was a victim of domestic abuse. I get upset many times a week, a day. I don't get much sleep. I have a low mood a lot of the time, a lack of energy and interest in things I used to. I'm anxious for my child's well-being all the time. These feelings I feel are mainly after the contact with my child stopped, but heightened after the false accusations and a serious accident.
A huge level of anxiety as I was being painted out to be someone I'm not, second-guessing everything I do, walking on eggshells to avoid future conflict, feeling not in control of my own life and that of my children.
Significant impact on mental health. I had counselling due to suffering with severe anxiety, especially when I wanted to buy myself something. I remember wanting to buy a shirt, and I felt guilty for wanting it, as it would be spending money. I became incredibly anxious to what she would do and say if I do.
I'm a bitter, lonely man. I'm filled with rage and despair. I think of suicide most of the time. I don't trust other people.
All the time.
I'm 58 years old, and the last 20 years of my life have been grim, and they won't get any better. The control.
I'm 43 years old, and there isn't a single moment of any day of my life that I don't pray for death. There isn't a single moment of my life that I don't have to talk myself out of committing suicide. There isn't a single day in my life that the people I go to for help stopping the abuse don't force me to want suicide. It doesn't matter, man, woman. You're all complacent when it comes to abuse against men. How many narcissistic women got a hold of me and chose to be predatory? How many of them pretended to be my friend first? I am for assisted termination of life, especially for men, especially for the homeless, especially for the disabled. And those of you who want to say that opens the door to more abuse against us, no. Death is preferable to this.
Will continue until I'm in the grave.
I feel extremely restricted in my life, generally because of the consequences of doing things she doesn't approve of. I often have to meet friends in secret and feel I can't leave because of the threats in the past about suicide.
She would square up to me, but then say I was the one threatening her. When I got upset, she'd say I need to man up. When I didn't respond, she'd ask me if I was a mute. I tried to walk away from her a few times, and she'd block my way and say we weren't finished. On the few occasions I argued back, she made me feel like a monster shouting at her.
I feel like I'm disappearing and wish I could simply flick a button and stop existing.
By the way, the 911 operators, coercive control. The officers, coercive control. They changed the name torture to pain compliance, and magically it's legal. The women on 988, same thing. How about the women on 211? Same thing. How about the women in 911? Same thing. If they don't want to, they're not going to, and you're a bad person. Even though it's their job to do this. You're a bad person because they don't want to do their job. You must be a criminal because they don't want to do their job. You need to just man up.
To stop the constant pain. I cannot bear living without my little one, whom I was actively raising as a hands-on father, which I can and will prove. I love her, and she is my heart. However, I don't think the system or the court cares into looking into this case from my point of view, and I'm dead on arrival. This has affected me beyond belief, and I feel like I'm slowly slipping into this dark thing that I'm not. Any traces of the kind, funny, happy, positive person that I was seem to have been corrupted by her and the system.
How many of my friends, or so-called friends, spoke up? None. How many of them argued on Facebook with people? A bunch. A whole bunch. But never once did any of them try to help me turn it in. Never once did a single one of my so-called friends ever help me turn in the abuse. My primary predators were women. But not just women. Also the men that they could manipulate. You expect me to have no reaction to this abuse? Between killing Andrew Wolnez and putting him in prison, I want him in prison. Eileen has had, I believe it's been over a year now, since the first incident at First Christian Church. one is called Confined, a short film about male domestic abuse. We don't need women. We can live productive lives and die without having children. Not reproduce. Not add to the epidemic.
You're late. Your tea's gone cold.
Dumped his food in the garbage. And then handed him the plate.
Where do you think you're going? Sit back down. Yeah, he's pretty useless. No. He's just sat there looking stupid. Yeah. Hold on. I'll call you back. Bye. What the hell are you playing at? I was watching that, and now you've just made me hang up as well. It's not on, is it, Dan? And you can switch that off while I'm talking to you as well. You know what, Dan? Just because you don't have any friends doesn't mean that you can interrupt me whilst I'm talking to mine. You know what? Don't even bother coming to bed tonight. You can just stay down here. Dan is a useless human being, and he does not deserve Abby. He is stupid and worthless, and Abby would be better off without him. He is a sorry excuse for a man, and she can't stand the sight of him. She deserves more than this pathetic waste of life.
I'm sorry about last night, okay? Don't I usually get 10?
I bought myself something nice, since you don't treat me anymore. Dan's not coming into work today. Yeah, he's not feeling too well, and he can't come in.
What did he say that for?
I'll tell people you did this to me, that you hit me!
But that's not true.
But that's what people will believe, Dan. I'll make them believe me.
You leave us no choice but suicide.
What are you doing? Get back down there and finish the dishes off. done? All day, just sit on your backside and do nothing while I go out shopping and buy food for us to eat so you can just sit there and do nothing. Don't even bother. You can unpack all the shopping.
We're slaves.
I just want you, Dan. I just want you now. Please, Dan. I miss you. I need you. Dan!
I don't feel like it, okay? I'm just not in the mood right now. Please stop.
Who are you to think you can touch me?
Sorry, I just want...
You don't get to speak. You don't deserve me. You don't deserve my love. You really are a worthless pile of crap. You sorry excuse for a human being. You're such a letdown. You've let me down. You've let your family down. You've let yourself down. And you should just go away. Disappear. Hello? No, nobody's in. Can I ask who's calling? Oh, don't call here again. Goodbye. Joe called. Says he's worried about you. Why is he worried, Dan? Dan? Look at me when I'm talking to you. Why is he worried? What have you been saying?
I apologize. My phone died. I have to use the gas in my car to keep it charged. I'd like to go to Center Market. No one cares. Who's the worst predator? Andrew Wolnez or Eileen at the First Christian Church? Eileen. She was in a position of power where she could have helped put a stop to all the abuses that happened at that church. But she didn't care, neither did Gary. I'm still nice to them both. That doesn't mean I like them, and it doesn't mean that I trust them. I get victimized, and Gary comes out and yells at me. How is that okay? It's not the predators that push us to suicide. It's how we're treated when we go for help. Men kill themselves at 5 times the rate of women, starting at the age of 15. Because at the age of 15, we realize we are never going to matter to anyone. We are playthings for women, and we will never be anything more. Let's play this.
What is it to be worried about, Dan? Why would Joe say he was worried about you? Dan, answer me. What have you been saying to Joe? Dan! You know what?
If they can't control your life by bullying you, they'll try to use your friends and family to control your life. Natalie and Alicia Bollinger and Maddie Boa, they worked together to do this. They enlisted men to assist them. Eileen wanted to pay a $2,000 fine for doing her job as a mandated reporter. Does she care about the fact that she is the one who made it unsafe for me there? And so I already know that if I'm assaulted there, I can't go to the people there. They will talk over me, disrespect me, and send me on to someone else who will do the same goddamn thing.
You really are. You're an absolute piece of shit.
She's still screaming in the background. But it's not.
You'd be better off dead. And where do you think you're going? Dan! Where do you think you're going?
If you leave, or if you stay, it'll be bad. If you leave, it'll be worse.
I feel trapped. I don't know. I'm scared. I think I'm going to get some help.
It's sad that it ends there because the reality is he's not going to get help.
Next, violence. And today, several local politicians and law are bringing attention to a new domestic violence law. That new law was October 1st, and it essentially speeds up the legal process to file a restraining order. Instead of sending the order by mail, as in the post office, text messages are now allowed to be sent to allow a victim to know exactly when the judge.
In Florida, there were 6,000 reported domestic violence offenses in 2020. And that was including more than 200 domestic violence murders.
State Senator Janet Cruz there sponsored that bill and got it passed, and she says 3 out of every 4 who are killed by their abuser are murdered when they attempt to leave the abusive relationship. The hope is that by speeding up this process, it can save lives. And while the majority of domestic violence victims are women, tonight we're diving deeper into cases where
we've gotten to learn tonight, haven't we, that they're not. A woman can pretend that you're a predator and she'll be heard. But if a man is actually victimized, people won't even look at the evidence. They'll make every excuse to procrastinate, to talk over a male victim. Fuck this goddamn country and everyone in it. Now we got predators like, well, like Chris Stafford. Amanda had a boyfriend, and he couldn't take no for an answer. He stole her gun, slandered her name. Then he tried doing the same thing to Sam, who also had a boyfriend. Chris doesn't care. Chris is a predator. If Chris doesn't get what he wants, Chris will abuse what power he has to punish those who don't give him what he wants. Most predators are female. Why are most predators female? Because females can literally get away with murder by playing the oh poor me card. Oh poor me. Oh poor me. What's the difference between me and most of these idiots? I make sure I know enough. While males are victimized for even thinking about coming forward, women are encouraged to lie by their friends and by male suitors. By the time your girlfriend leaves you, she's already got another boyfriend lined up, and he's probably been banging her for about 6 months. Statistically. It's almost 3 a.m. now. I'm gonna go spend some money I don't have. I don't have any money to spend on anything. But I do, and I get treated like I'm a horrible person for little things in life. Women are constantly telling me what to do, as if men have those opportunities. We fucking don't. People don't help us the way they help you. They don't offer to help us the way that they offer to help you. They don't volunteer to help us the way that they volunteer to help you. And if they do, all they'll do is procrastinate. Whereas you expect instant gratification. None of you care that Natalie Bollinger never accused me. Ever. She never accused me of raping her. She never accused me of molesting her as a child. She never accused me of hitting her. No, she accused me of stalking her because she was fucking embarrassed. And all of the evidence shows that. But not one of you gives a fuck. All of you help my predators by coming here for entertainment. Meanwhile, female predators like my mom, my little sister. Sure, neither of these women sexually abused me, but sexual abuse is not the only kind of abuse. When you pretend that a man might hurt you because you did something wrong, well, that's a pretty fucked up thing for you to do. I'm not going to pretend that Natalie Bollinger did not deserve a bullet to the head, because she certainly the fuck did. Anyone who would intentionally try to push a man to commit suicide is not a good person. Let's see if I'm even capable of walking inside. I certainly hope so. The abuse that I've endured in Tillamook, in Hood River, in Rollins, Wyoming, Cheyenne, Wyoming, the abuse that I endured in Chapel, Nebraska, Sydney, Nebraska, Boulder, Colorado, Denver, Colorado, Aurora, Colorado, Bristol, Virginia, Bristol, Tennessee, Rapid City, South Dakota, Hardin, Montana, Johnstown, Colorado, Tacoma, Washington, Lakewood, Washington. It doesn't matter where I go. I cannot take care of myself or defend myself. All cops are predators. And as we've gotten to see recently, nearly all women are highly predatory. Because they know all they have to do is throw on the crocodile tears. And magically they did no wrong. I had to go public because nobody cared about the abuse. My friends like Derek Parrish assaulted me. Because it's never okay to hit a woman, but it's always okay to hit a man, isn't it? It's always okay for you to take your shit out on a homeless man, isn't it? It's always okay for you to take your shit out on a mentally ill person, isn't it? I guess let's try to get out of my car. It wasn't just the police that did everything they could to keep actual evidence out of court. It was also my own public pretenders. Women have this magic fantasy in their heads. No woman can be trusted. No woman in this country, anyway. Because we have taught all of them that it is okay for them to be predators. And every single woman in this country benefits from that abuse. The only men who benefit are actual abusers. When a woman doesn't get what she wants, what'll she do? She'll slander your name so that people hurt you. And nobody's gonna listen to you. You're not a human being. You have a dick. Andrew Wolnez is going to prison. So's Officer Lothman. That's what's gonna happen. Ray Rao is gonna get extra charges because he committed a lot of fucking felonies. With these law enforcement officers, they certainly want to give leniency, don't they? And why is that? Because they're all guilty too. They're all guilty too. Every one of them. And every cop hopes that other cops will give him leniency when he does something wrong. And they do. Habitually. Another one. Your hair looks different.
Yeah, my sister's different. What do you think?
Looks good. It's a little disheveled, but
Good, thank you. Yeah, it would be my character if it wasn't. You look a little ragged. What the hell? No, that one. Oh, thanks, man.
hey, there's some people that are gonna try to bring me some blankets tomorrow, so you guys don't have to freeze anymore. It's the people at Safeway that everybody's assholes to.
Well, when are you guys having a lighter?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Look at the lighter on top.
Keep it. Let him use it first, though.
Yeah, I like how the whole lighter on top. And that's good thing.
Yeah, I got this from a guy who used to be a tree cutter.
Huh?
Might still be a tree cutter. His name is Wendell McPhee. He lives in a place called Chapel, Nebraska.
The name's familiar as hell, but I've never been to Nebraska.
Yeah.
Weird how familiar that name is, though. Probably McPhee from a movie or something like that. No, I'm thinking McFly from fucking Back to the Future. Not McPhee. My bad. Yeah.
Good morning, McFly. Hello, McFly.
Yeah. Hey, if you think about Rick and Morty, Back to the Future, just cartoon, like seriously. Down to the names, down to the looks, down to everything. It's Back to the Future.
Just more vomit.
I love it. Right, later, man. Thanks for the lighter.
Yes, sir.
What's up, John?
It's Sean. Your shoelace is untied.
Oh, that's fine.
Yes, sir. I don't. Nobody helped me keep and maintain them. And I can't take care of myself. What was your name again?
Raymond.
Raymond. That's why it's so impossible to remember. I only know one Raymond.
You do?
Raymond Michael Davis Jr. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Raymond Michael Davis Jr. La-da, doo-dah, day. He was a teacher of mine in high school, and he was a fucking dipshit. Yeah. I'll probably remember that song till the day I die. You shouldn't be out here.
I don't board the stuff, man.
No, I mean, you belong somewhere, not on the streets. I'm not saying you need to be locked up in a nuthatch or anything like that, because you don't. But you belong in a home where they'll take care of you. Instead of you having to depend on a bunch of homeless people that ain't got jack shit.
Yeah.
But obviously we're more humane than the government. Still feed you when I can. I give you cigarettes when I can. I'm sorry, I don't have more.
Would you have to have something to drink?
Yes, sir. You want something coffee or something fruity?
Something fruity.
Yes, sir. Izzy Sparkling Original Lemonade.
Why not, man?
Yes, sir. I'm not sure if this will do you any good. Yeah, I do.
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
How's your night going, bro?
Shitty.
Shitty?
Yeah.
Shitty? Yes, so sad. Have you eaten? I don't got much, but I got.
Yeah.
Only seen.
He's hungry.
Huh?
Raymond is
He's out here
hungry.
doing the same thing every night.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Begging off of people that have money is one thing, but he's a homeless guy. Trying to get from homeless guy. So like when I go out and panhandle, I know he's homeless. So how am I gonna try to take him over?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. No thanks.
No? Oh. Hmm?
Yes.
Not anymore. I think I threw them all away. Alright, well, I thought I'd come here and get myself something to drink and something to eat, but I can't get out of my car. So it was good to see you, Raymond. Hey, Raymond, could you pick that up, please? You can't send me to street people to get help. Especially street addicts. Every single moment of every day. Any of these people actually really vape? No, not generally. Once in a while, a cigarette or two. A lot of the people in Safeway are is they're just nice. And it's kind of because they have to be. Probably shouldn't even be driving. But it fucking matters. I told them all I wasn't safe to drive before Natalie was killed. Nobody cares. You think Raymond's gonna help me? No, he's not. He's not even able to take care of himself. What fucking good is anything gonna do? Of course, it's not as bad as Nicole Vertner pawning me off on Brian after Brian already showed he was fucking useless. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. We all spend our lives trying to make female predators happy. Only be treated like we're predators. You cannot make women happy. Men thrive on positivity, positive interactions. Women thrive on negativity, drama, slander. And of course, it's a constant test, isn't it? Like, hey, how about stop treating me like I'm a fucking dummy? How about instead of trying to test me all the time, how about you try showing some actual human fucking decency towards me? Oh yeah, that's too much to ask of any woman. But she might give you a sandwich. And then she'll throw that sandwich in your face for the next 7 years. I gave you a sandwich. I gave you a sandwich. I gave you a sandwich. Well, that sandwich was not worth the abuse it took to get it. I show you the reality of what it's like out here, and you look the other way. It's not that men are more predatory. Women are more predatory. But you're more likely to listen to a woman. None of you listen to a man when he's abused. You don't want to get involved. All of you will get involved in destroying an innocent man's life because a woman wants you to. But you don't want to get involved. You don't want to get involved. You're already fucking involved, stupid. The first time you threatened to kill him, you were involved. The first time you threatened to kill his friends and family, you were involved.
Where men are the victims. It's rare, but it does happen, and
It's not
sometimes
rare.
with deadly outcomes. ABC Action News reporter Michael Paluska tonight looking at two
It's
high-profile
not
cases
rare.
with local connections.
What's rare is that anyone gives a shit.
Christian's chest in a downward angle to the 3 inches.
Miami, a social media influencer arrested.
We are charging 26-year-old Courtney Taylor Clenny with 1 count of second-degree murder in Christian's death.
Miami-Dade County State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle telling the media at an August news conference all the signs were there. This fight in an elevator with Clenny and her boyfriend Christian Abuselli is key evidence, along with constant noise complaints about violence.
It was a homicide.
In St. Petersburg, August 19th, Larry Jarrell is found inside the apartment he shared with his partner, Rhiannon Spicer, an eerily similar case where police say Jarrell was stabbed to death. The complaint showing that Spicer had a, quote, Google search history of, do you spend life in prison if you killed someone in self-defense?
Our advocates often have a very tough time that sometimes in abusive relationships, sometimes it happens within a 24-hour period that we'll get both partners in the relationship that reach out to us for help.
Christine Meiss, outreach program manager at the Spring of Tampa Bay. She did not comment on these two specific cases, but spoke in general about what she's experienced when it comes to domestic violence involving men as victims. People look at men when they're the victims and make the assumption that the man did something wrong. And there's a reason why they were the victim of domestic violence. Is that accurate?
So I think a lot of times when men are victims, they face additional biases, and a lot of that has to do with gender norms. Men have this expectation to be tough, to be more dominant in that relationship. And so when a man comes forward and says, no, this is what I'm experiencing in my relationship, I don't feel safe in this relationship, my partner is abusing me, or I have this coercive control.
And this is the thing, is that this fucking dumb cunt is literally smiling through this thing. We should probably show that. We'll back it up a little bit.
That relationship. And so when a man comes forward and says, no, this is what I'm experiencing in my relationship, I don't feel safe in this relationship, my partner is abusing me, or I have this coercive control, other people think, well, then you must not be a man.
Data reinforces that
She
skepticism
obviously
about
fucking
men
smiles
as
a
victims.
bunch.
According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 72% of all murder-suicides involve an intimate partner. 94% of the victims of these murder-suicides are female, and 1 in 4 women, compared to 1 in 9 men, experience severe intimate partner physical violence.
That is incorrect.
Very tough time.
That is incorrect. Nearly every man in America has been a victim of abuse by women. Nearly all of them. But we have to go to dumb cunts like this who smile about abuse against men. See this fat bitch with an entitled position.
Of let's put gender aside and really take a look at what is happening in this relationship.
Documents show Spicer was arrested in November 2021 for domestic violence, again just weeks before Jarrell was found dead. No contact orders were also in place. In February, court records show that Jarrell was also arrested for domestic violence and pleaded no contest. The couple had 3 children together, and since Spicer's arrest, police still have more questions than answers. Spicer invoking her right to remain silent.
Every act of violence in a relationship is always an act of domestic violence. Those words, domestic violence, should have a decidedly ugly feel to them.
Back in Miami, authorities say they found no evidence to Clenny's claim that Ambuseli was the aggressor.
There's no physical evidence that led us to believe that she was actually physically harmed in any way.
No matter what, everyone agrees someone should or could have done something to stop it.
Men are often, unfortunately, unwilling to come forward as victims of domestic violence. Or
Look at the last 7 years of my life. Why don't men come forward about abuse? Because they're afraid of getting treated the way I am. Meanwhile, very few of these actually touch on the subject of women coercing other men into harming us. Because they didn't get what they wanted right when they fucking wanted it. Abuse against men isn't just from women. It's from her, and her friends, and her friends' boyfriends, and her friends' husbands. Every single woman in America has been taught to be a narcissist. All men are victims of this. All men are harmed by this. Is a woman more likely to commit a murder-suicide? No, she wants to get away with it. After she murders you, she'll play victim. They all do. Female sexual predators, too. Female physical abusers and psychological abusers. When you literally force men to scream at the top of their lungs, you're showing what shitty excuses for human beings you are. When you procrastinate and take your dear sweet fucking time, and you don't bother to take any time to actually listen to understand. Why would you? You're women. You're not expected to understand. We're expected to understand. Then we're told no matter what, we don't understand and we can't. Really. Because we are more victimized than you are. Yeah, a man might commit a murder-suicide. But a woman will try to talk a man into doing it for her. And then she'll play like she didn't know. Oh, I didn't know he was gonna do that. Yeah. Yeah, you did. You were praying on it. You were hoping for it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have slandered his name. We cannot trust women to do the right thing because they have all been taught to be narcissists. Every woman in this country has been taught to be a narcissist. Every one of them. Every single one. Take a look at your relationship. How many times have you been smacked by your girlfriend, by your wife? Hell, any guy who's watching this, how many times have you been smacked by your spouse? Just in the last month. Women are 30 times more likely to be the physical aggressor in a relationship. 30 times more likely. You'll believe the woman just because she said. You'll destroy a man's chances of stopping the abuse by procrastinating. Because women don't want to help men. We've taught them that they're supposed to get freebies. They're all fucking princesses. Well, that just makes all of you fucking insane.
The sequence of domestic violence events can be broken.
How do we come together as a society to fix this issue of domestic violence that keeps recurring?
From one aspect, you can look at it that we need to teach what healthy relationships look like in the first place. It's about recognizing that domestic violence is everybody's problem.
In St. Petersburg.
How about holding women fucking responsible? You notice none of these women say that? None of them. These are women in positions of power, smiling about this shit. They're all fucking insane. It is insane to believe that you can harm a man over and over and over again, and he is supposed to have no reaction. I'm fucking tired as all hell, and I need sleep. But that's not gonna happen, is it?
Luska, ABC Action News.
And if you or someone you know is in a domestic violence situation, you can call this number on your screen right now, 1-800-500-1119, or you can contact
But only
us
for
at
domestic. How many of these places that I went to over the abuse
and Twitter.
absolutely refused to do a goddamn thing because me and Natalie never dated? Meanwhile, many of my predators got away with the shit that they pulled by pretending that me and Natalie were boyfriend and girlfriend. And that magically makes it okay. None of you are good goddamn people. None of you. Not a goddamn one of you.
I'm Rory Smith, a broadcaster and interviewer. Everyone has a story of challenges and triumphs throughout life.
Yeah, we'll start this one on the next video. Not that any of you give a fuck.